All right. Looks like we are streaming live now. So I'll call to order the Monday, February 26th meeting of the Sustainable BC Committee at it was 1:30 when I started talking. It's 1:31 now, according to my computer. We will begin just by introducing ourselves. I'll call on people as I see you on my screen to introduce yourself. Just say your name. Who you are, what your position is relative to the committee, whether you're a community volunteer or a staff member or other city, whoever you are, and what you're doing here. I will say I did hear from community volunteer member Kathy Antea. Kathy is planning on joining us, but will be a few minutes late, so we'll be on the lookout for Kathy joining us here in a few minutes. All right, my name is Andy Humboldt. I am a community volunteer, chair member of the committee, and I am zooming in from my home in Battle Creek. Patty.
I am Patty Hoke-Meliwish. I am with the City of Battle Creek Environmental Department, and I'm here at DPW in the City of Battle Creek.
Alrighty, Bessie.
I work for the City of Battle Creek, also in the Environmental Department, remote from my home in Battle Creek.
Alrighty, Bob.
I'm Bob Gilbert. I am a community volunteer and remoting in from my office in Battle Creek.
Alrighty, Kimberly.
Good afternoon, I'm Kimberly Holly. I am the city's DEI officer, and I am zooming in from my office at City Hall.
Yes, Kimberly is a guest today. I asked her, she expressed interest in our some of our conversation around environmental sustainability and development, and just the equity and inclusion issues that are apparent in any of that work or this work at all. So we're welcome Kimberly as a guest today, and any other time she would like to join us. Christopher Martin.
Yes, Christopher Martin, urban planner at Battle Creek Unlimited, right here in the city of Battle Creek.
All righty, Kiona.
Hi, Kiona Ackley, community volunteer, joining from my residence in Battle Creek, Michigan.
All right, Kurt.
Hi, Kurt Tribbett, with the city of Battle Creek in my office at 150 South Kendall Street. And, yeah, I do have to leave at 2:00 for another meeting, so if you see me disappear, that's where I went.
Okay. Roger, Commissioner Ballard. Roger, you're on mute. Can you introduce yourself from sunny San Francisco? You're still on mute. Maybe it's a 3-hour time delay. I don't know.
There you go. Hello?
There you go.
Roger Ballard, City of Battle Creek.
All right. Ryan
Ranky, yeah. No, that's all good. Ryan Ranky with the Cowan Conservation District, zooming in from Marshall.
Alrighty, thank you much. Our newest member, Chris. You want to just introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, Chris Basic, work with Calhoun County right now, and like you said, just a newer member trying to get involved in here, and like everybody else, I'm at work right now, so I can't guarantee how long I can stay online with you.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for stepping up to participate. And our guest of extra honor, we have Justin Gish for the city of Kalamazoo with us. Justin, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, Justin Gish, sustainability planner for the city of Kalamazoo in my office in Kalamazoo.
Alrighty. Oh, someone else just joined us. We have Darcy.
Sorry about that. Darcy.
No problem.
Planning supervisor.
All right. Thank you much. All right, let me count. Usually we start by approving our minutes, but we need a quorum for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. I think that's enough. Let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we do have a quorum here. So the minutes were sent out. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting in December.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Patty, seconded by Bessie, to approve the minutes of the December meeting. Are there any comments, questions, or input about the minutes? All right, then, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye or wave or gesture.
Aye.
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 All right. Are there any opposed? All right, seeing none, that's unanimous approval of the December minutes. All right, I will turn it over to Patty now. Looks like we want to get to the presentation from Justin from Kalamazoo first, so I'll turn it over to you all.
Okay, thanks. Yes, so we have Justin Gish, who's the new is it sustainability planner? Is that that's the title? Yes. And I think it's fairly new position. I'll let you talk about that, but Kalamazoo just completed a greenhouse gas inventory. And so it's very timely with what we're doing here in Battle Creek. And so Justin agreed to come and tell us a little bit about that process. And also if you want to just talk about your position with Kalamazoo and what you guys are up to over there, I'd appreciate it. And if you need to present or want me to pull up your report, I'm happy to do that, but just let us know what you need.
Okay, yeah, I can run through the presentation I've been given to everyone else pretty quickly, just so you can kind of see how it all lays out. But sustainability planner, new position, started in May on the 1st. And this all stems from Kalamazoo declaring a climate emergency, then drafting a climate sustainability plan. So they needed someone to oversee the plan. So here I am. So that's my main responsibility, is to kind of oversee that plan, make sure that kind of the goals outlined in that plan are reached, met. So I work on that. So that's like my guiding plan there. But day to day, it could be anything from someone emails me about crickets and why they don't hear as many crickets, or urban deer is one that's coming up a lot now. A lot of greenhouse gas stuff. Everyone kind of sees what Ann Arbor does and then emails me if we can do it as well. We're not Ann Arbor. Nobody's Ann Arbor. They have a $6 million budget and a staff of 12. And maybe the political will to ban gas-powered small engines like leaf blowers. We don't have that will here. So trying to navigate all that, temper expectations. So the big deal, 2050 net zero is what we had laid out. So in order to get there, anytime you have a goal and you want to make some steps, you got to figure out where you're at. So that's what that baseline is. I guess you all are working with ICLEI here to get your baseline gas going. Okay, good. So it'll be a little bit more insider baseball on this presentation. We'll focus on the results, but I'll talk about where I got the numbers from and things like that as well. So if I can share, I'm looking to see if I can share the screen. Yeah. All right. All right, we can see that, I'm guessing. All right, so this is the presentation I've been giving everyone. And again, like I said, so for this one, you'll see all the numbers, but I'll just tell you a lot of where I got this stuff from, and you might already know it. If you do, I'm sorry, just hear it again. But yeah, I guess I won't keep an eye on the chat. Patty, can you keep an eye on the chat if there's questions? Thanks. Yeah, I'll just answer questions as we go. So, you got to have a full year. So when I started in 2023, I had a full year of data for 2022. So this report's 2022 data. It spits out in carbon dioxide equivalents, which takes into account the 3 big greenhouse gases there: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. When you're doing this report, it's kind of funky. So some of the data you'll get, you just have to do a lot of conversion. You might get million British thermal units, and you got to convert it to 1,000 cubic feet. You just have to pay attention to that. And then biosolids, we didn't have to include that necessarily, but I did because it's an important part of our story here in Kalamazoo. We treat waste for the entire county. So, every other city in Kalamazoo sends their stuff to us, and we kind of get stuck with the carbon bill. You break it down by scopes. That's easy enough. Here's just some of the conversions that I talk about. So when you're going into ICLEI, you're going to input, any number here, and then it spits out your carbon dioxide equivalent here. And it's kind of neat, so if you put in some solid waste, you're going to see a lot higher methane. But yeah, it's fun. I like it. You see these national numbers here. So, transportation's a big chunk. Electricity production, residential and commercial. This is like natural gas use here, and then industrial pollutants. It looked a lot different at the city level when I did it. Kind of surprising. Surprised a lot of the community members too, who I gave this presentation to. All right, so here's our numbers. We're 2.1 million essentially for the community, and I always have trouble differentiating between the two. So the community is, everything inside the city's boundaries. The city operations were about 50,000 metric tons. And that's just what the city municipal governments, the offices, the cars, anything like that kind of produces. We have Western's power plant here. That's the only power plant or big producer here. Energy consumption. So I work with Consumers Energy to get their data. It can be kind of tricky because your energy bill it's private. It's your information, so they really can't share it. So the best I could get was zip code data. So I got data for zip codes, but with cities, they don't fall necessarily within zip codes. The boundaries kind of blur. So it is a little tricky there. We'll talk about that. For transportation, I use Google Environmental Explorer, Insight Explorer, Google EIE. That's anyone, who works for municipality can sign up for that. And Google tracks that transportation data for you and provides it. And you'll know how many cars are moving within your city's boundaries. And you have to do a little bit of magic because they just give you one number. ICLEI has a spreadsheet that helps you decide or determine how many, based on averages, diesel as opposed to gas vehicles are in there. So you do that. And then solid waste data, it's just collected from city records, and then EPA estimates, because we didn't have a waste audit here in the city, so I had to use some estimates. And then the city of Kalamazoo, you work with consumers, and they give you all the energy use for the city. Vehicle fleet, you're tracking gallons of gasoline and diesel, so you'll have that. Consumers Energy gave us, the streetlight data. Solid waste, I was able to get good real numbers, and then water and wastewater, it's all energy use. So it was all consumers data. So consumers are going to play a big part. You all have consumers, right? Not DTE. Yeah, so you'll work with them. You'll get your numbers. So here's kind of where that pie chart is different. I mean, it's essentially all energy use in our city. Transportation's, the next biggest piece, but compared to nationally, it's a kind of I don't want to say a drop in the bucket. It's still 12%, but it's a lot smaller. And then solid waste and energy production. Again, that's Western's power plant there. So this is what we have to try to tackle here in the city. And what helps is with consumers going, gosh, not clean necessarily, but net zero or that by 2040, they'll start chipping away at that. So we'll get there. But yeah, 83% energy use in our city. Scopes, I don't know, but it's fine to look at. I don't know how useful scopes are. I like a little bit more harder numbers. But yeah, so this electric piece, essentially that should go away as consumers cleans up their grid by 2040 there. But you also have to think about how to decarbonize, so this is all Kalamazoo is different. I don't want to say all of ours as far as residents go, but you'll see why I'm getting ahead of myself. But here it is, breakdown, electric and gas use. So again, I talked about the zip code, so it's kind of tricky. So I was given energy data for all these zip codes, but only essentially 3 fall, pretty well within the city's boundaries. And then you kind of have these chunks here that it was pretty tricky. So in this baseline, I only used these 3 zip codes. They were the most representative anyway. So the residential numbers will probably be a little bit higher than what I report. Just because I've excluded, these are all residents here, but I wanted actual numbers so we could see if anything that we did caused any change. rather than trying to average this out and not knowing if the change was coming from here. So I wanted actual numbers. So I just used these 3 zip codes. And then you break it down. You know, the consumers gave me the data broken down by commercial, industrial, and residential. So these are consumers categories, not necessarily mine. So then you can see in what zip code most of the emissions are coming from, you know, so the 4900, where are we at? 7 here, orange, you know, a lot of industrial electricity and industrial natural gas. This is where graphic packaging is. They use a lot of natural gas. But then 49001, you know, I haven't figured out what this discrepancy is between, you know, it just seems like electrical use is so much higher there. Yeah, something for me to puzzle over, but yeah, there's that. I broke it down by residents, but that didn't really help. So I went to to households, and you know, you find a household with higher than average emissions, and you, okay, you kind of investigate that a little bit more, see what's going on over there. Could be bigger homes, could be more affluent, you know, you can afford to crank up the heat. That's something for me to play with there. And then emissions, so this is why Kalamazoo is different. I expect Battle Creek would probably be similar, just really high industrial emissions, just because we have a solid industrial base here. And keep that in mind when we look at Ann Arbor, because Ann Arbor essentially has no industry, so the numbers look a lot different. But, you know, and so, yeah, that's another thing too, when I pick on residents, you know, or just everyday people, you know, turn off your lights, keep your thermostat low. I mean, that'll move this number. We got to figure out how to kind of play with this number a little bit. I guess, you know, kind of a silver lining here, a lot of those emissions are from electricity and electrical use. So as the grid gets cleaned up, you know, this will shrink a little bit. But again, we got to figure out ways to work on that natural gas piece there, which I think is doable. It's Western's power plant. You know, for this data, I worked with the EPA has flight data. I think there's like 2 facilities in Battle Creek that I looked at, but they have to self-report their emissions. So I just plucked those from their self-reportage and plugged them into the report there. So this is Western's power plant. Transportation, yeah, so the Google EIE numbers, they just give you one lump sum. You know, they'll just say, I'll just make up a number, you know, 1,500,000 miles traveled, and then you take the miles traveled, and ICLEI has a spreadsheet that'll tell you averages of of diesel and gasoline vehicles. So I would use that. I mean, you can use other, if you have a transportation authority there that has those numbers, you can use that. Amtrak, I just had to do a little bit of digging, you know, see how many times they stop in Kalamazoo, and then measure all the train tracks that Amtrak came in and out on. Then I came up with that number there. Bus route, that was just included in that Google EIE data, but you could probably get it from your local transportation authority as well. Solid waste. Yeah, so here's the biosolids, that's the wastewater treatment plants here. Municipal solid waste, Southwest Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. I believe that's the group. There's a waste audit floating around out there. So they know kind of what folks in our region are throwing away. And then based on that, I was able, you know, get an average of how many pounds of waste an American throws away, and then play with those numbers a little bit. That's where I got this. I mean, ideally, you'd want to do a waste audit to see what your community is throwing away, because it could be different than West Michigan. And, you know, they could be throwing away more or less. But in lieu of that, you know, I think these averages work pretty well. Then you include leaf composting. So we pick up leaves here in the city and they compost on city property. So we counted those. Then we used to get rid of some woody debris with combustion. We stopped that process. But so look at the numbers here. So we're 2.1 million. Ann Arbor's 2.04 million. South Bend's 1.2. Seattle jumps out at you. They're so big. How are they 3? We'll talk about that a little bit. You know, Lansing here 1.6. And then the US, you know, 6.3 billion, essentially billion metric tons. So those comparisons are interesting, but they don't tell you the whole story, especially here. So with Seattle, you know, their energy use, emissions from energy use is just so much lower than ours, because a lot of their energy comes from hydroelectric, so there's no resulting emissions. You know, you could, from what I read online, you could essentially double that, you know, if they had the same type of energy production that we had here. But everything else falls in line. You know, emissions from energy use is high, followed by transportation, and then waste. Energy use, transportation, waste, energy use, transportation, waste. So it's just neat when you see trends like that, I think. And then, so again, the comparison, you really can't compare any city to any other city. Ann Arbor's 2.04 million, we're 2.1. It seems similar, but again, look at Ann Arbor's numbers. So they're more residential there, kind of a bedroom community. So their residential emissions are a lot higher, but they have essentially no industry, no reported industrial emissions. And then here's Kalamazoo, and then here's U of M over here, 597,000. The Westerns would be higher. They haven't done a full waste audit, or not waste audit, greenhouse gas emissions report yet. This is just from their power plant. I'm sure that they'd be higher, but not where they are. Just talk about what we're going to do, and I'll breeze through this. We can start some questions. So here's what the City of Kalamazoo's municipal operations are. So essentially, half of it all goes to providing water to people and treating that water. And waste, biosolids are included here in solid waste. That's just the way ICLEI likes it. But you could combine the biosolids because they're essentially a result of the wastewater treatment process. That'd be about 76% if you include biosolids. It's all wastewater. Building facilities pretty low. Streetlights, traffic signals is about the same as our vehicle fleet. Scopes, water supply. So again, we treat, we serve, bring water to, get water to, about 196,000 people, and then we treat over 200,000 people. So we extend into Branch County and or Berry County and Van Buren County. So yeah, 200,000 people essentially. Population of Kalamazoo is just 72,000. So we're doing all that work on behalf of everyone else. Vehicle fleets. We don't have any electrical vehicles, or at the time we didn't have any electric vehicles, and we're using diesel. We switched to biodiesel now. So if the usage stays the same, we should see this number drop by about 100 metric tons. And then as we increase our gas or electric vehicle fleet, hopefully we see our gas emissions drop. But again, it's not, the whole pie is not going to shrink. The pieces just move around, so we'll use more electricity. It's always fun to look at. We use a lot of natural gas here. We'll talk about why. It's kind of odd that we use more natural gas than electricity, but it's because of this. We use this system to heat our sidewalks downtown. A lot of natural gas and a lot of resulting emissions go into keeping our sidewalks ice-free on the mall here in downtown Kalamazoo. Essentially all of the waste that we handle is biosolids related. There's some leaf composting there, and then that woody debris, but it's mostly, almost essentially all biosolids, 97%. Street lights, traffic signals, you can't do a whole lot with that right now. A lot of this is consumers. There's putting in LEDs and that, but then you get LEDs, and if they're too cool and blue, then I got to worry about dark skies and the aforementioned crickets and things like that. All the things I have to balance. Then you look at cities, South Bend, about 42,000. East Lansing, that's the number they put in there. It's still surprising, shocking how large that number is. But in their report, they do talk about how much wastewater they treat as well. So it's just the name of the game. Ann Arbor doesn't release this number. It seems like it's an internal number. It'd be interesting to see where they're at, just because everyone wants to compare each other to Ann Arbor. And then Traverse City's there at about 10,000 metric tons. So then, one thing I'm interested in, so Zoetis here has a large research and development facility, and they've pledged to be net zero by 2030. So you have to think so they must be close to that or have made some steps. Otherwise, they're really waiting until the last minute. So I'd assume that some of their energy use is offset by some type of purchase, carbon offset purchase of that. So I want to reach out to them and see how much they've offset, and if I could shave off some of those numbers because it's accounted for somewhere else. But otherwise, these are the 3 or 4 groups that have made some type of pledge in the city to be net zero at some point. Most 2050 and Western kind of sneaking in there at 2065. But and then community solar comes up a lot. I just throw this slide in at the end just because I know that megawatts and megawatt hours aren't, they're not directly related, or you but it's fun to think about. So community solar, you know, allows for production up to 5 megawatts. We have a solar garden here attached to Western that is 8.5 acres large and produces 1 megawatt. So if folks want to offset, you know, this is the actual megawatt hours that were used in those 3 zip codes, 1.8 million. You know, how many acres are you going to have to throw out there of community solar fields to offset some of that? Yeah, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but I don't know if community solar is going to solve all the problems that everyone thinks it's going to. But again, you know, it helps, and it should be there. I have to walk myself back on some of this stuff because I am just, you know, go back to my glib graduate student days. But that's it. And hopefully there's more questions. I know I kind of rushed through that, but I don't want to tell you stuff you already knew or weren't interested in. I'm here to help you try to figure out what your plan is, and hopefully I can help.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting. So just to get you up to speed on what we're doing, we just, as of Thursday, like days ago, got our results back. We hired ICLEI to do a community-wide inventory for us. So the group hasn't even seen those numbers. A couple of us have, but so I guess I don't want to monopolize all your time, but what are you doing? How are you involving the community in the results here? Like, what are you doing with the with the data now that you have it?
Yeah, right now I'm just going around talking to everyone I can. You know, talk to different environmental groups and send some. It was funny. So we were doing another project we're working on is like a reusable container project downtown. So we had flyers up with a survey. Folks got really interested in that. And news agencies reached out. You know, some of the TV stations down here and MLive and those folks. And they were asking about that, and I said, "Oh, that you know, that's fine." But I also have this report, and so yeah, trying to get the news to cover it and talk about the report. I won't say that there's been no interest, not as much interest as I thought. You know, because you know, first time we've done this, you know, everyone cares about numbers and these things. But yeah, just trying to work on it that way. We have neighborhood groups, so you know, it'll funnel through neighborhoods and things like that, and post it on our social media, and then we created a lot more accessible plan that I sent over to you all that will be on our website soon, and folks can visit that and explore those numbers there and reach out to me if they have questions.
So did you do the report yourself? It sounds like you put the data into the ICLEI web, you know, the database.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Did you do it for the community wide one as well?
Correct. Yeah, I did them both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Other group members or our guests here that we have questions for Justin about what they're up to there?
Hey, Justin, great presentation. I guess the big numbers seem to be coming from the industry side. How is that level of engagement taking place?
It's just starting. Yeah, so I'm going to work, you know, we have the Southwest Michigan First this year, and then the Southwest Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. So yeah, so there's ways to get into those groups. I like to think that, you know, everyone's doing their own thing. They don't see the bigger picture. And then this report kind of shows them the bigger picture, and they say, okay, wow, now's the time to start thinking about some of this stuff. You know, I think the industry too, and in the commercial sector, they have maybe the most incentive to make some changes with all the Inflation Reduction Act money and things like that. So that's the thing. Yeah, that's the hope, is that, you know, reach out to those groups now, show them this report, show them where we're at, and they'll kind of take it upon themselves to make some changes. I think they see the writing on the wall. You know, all this stuff's everyone's going towards net zero, so maybe this would be kind of the impetus for some of that stuff. But yeah, I do think like putting one number together really puts it in perspective, because otherwise, you know, you have 7 factories that are doing their own thing and not thinking about the collective impact of their activities. So yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a $1 million question. I don't even know if I answered it. I got to get my foot in the door and start talking to folks, but excuse me.
Yeah, thank you. Kathy?
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so this might not be the biggest question of the day, but I'm really interested. You had mentioned about the sidewalk heating earlier on and energy usage. I thought you had talked about that a little bit and I didn't hear all of it. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the sustainability of heated sidewalks versus the fuel usage for snow removal, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
Sure. Share it again. I'll go back to that one. Yeah, so everyone points to Holland. You know, Holland has a great heated sidewalk system. They're very proud of that, but they use waste heat from their power plants. So essentially what we're doing here though is just running a giant boiler. So we're just pumping in natural gas to heat, you know, glycol or whatever's in the pipes to keep the sidewalks free of ice and snow. And then, I mean, there's trade-offs with all this stuff, right? The 3 pillars of sustainability are people, planet, profit. It is more equitable and people appreciate having a downtown that is ice-free. But then again, yeah, you brought up what's the environmental cost or at least the greenhouse gas cost here. So they used 29,000 cubic feet of natural gas in 2022 to heat those sidewalks, resulting in 1,500 metric tons of CO2e. You know, so again, that's what, maybe 4 months. This was the highest natural gas user in the city here. The second highest is the wastewater treatment plant. And this is essentially using twice the natural gas that the wastewater treatment plant is using. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you make that decision or what that decision looks like. But again, I think just kind of pointing these things out to folks, letting them see what's out there, you know, folks can kind of come to their own conclusions and work with their elected officials on this, or, you know, think of a different system here. So I don't know if that answered it, but that, yeah, just, it surprised me. I never would have guessed that this was the system. This system would lead us in our resulting natural gas emissions. But without this, you know, everyone's out there shoveling or throwing down salt, and yeah, it's one of those like balances or trade-offs you got to kind of figure out.
Justin, how much sidewalk? But I don't know if the unit is miles or sidewalk, or like how much are we talking about? Like just the pedestrian part of the Kalamazoo Mall Street there, or more in like, is there anywhere else?
Mainly the mall, and the street as well. You know, so that whole everywhere you'd walk kind of down there, and then some offshoots. Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I couldn't give you a number. I think no one's asked that because I think everyone just kind of is very familiar with the mall here in a different city. You've probably been there and walked it, but yeah, I don't have a good answer for you there. But I do know that some of the zoning regulations now require new construction to have heated sidewalks. So they're not necessarily hooked up to this system, but they're doing their own thing. So again, it's going to become everyone is heating the sidewalk downtown, which is driving energy use and resulting emissions up. And again, everyone, you know, not everyone, but folks bring up Holland a lot, and that's just a different scenario because they're using waste heat, you know. So that, yeah, we're just kind of burning fuel to heat the sidewalks, which it sounds like I'm casting a judgment. I'm not. I'm neutral on it. But I do see the human benefits and the equitability piece of that. But again, yeah, well, you see the numbers there.
Hey, Justin, this is Bob Gilbert. Did you have any cost associated with that sidewalk heating?
Yeah, we paid for all the natural gas. Yeah.
What did you have a cost though, like in dollar amount? What does it cost the city to heat the sidewalks? You know,
I'd have to dig through it. I have that. Okay. I probably wouldn't say it here on the YouTube live video anyway. You could FOIA me for it.
That's okay. I was just curious.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah, not cheap, not free. No. We'll say that.
Okay.
But again, you look at the cost. I mean, what's it going to pay? And yeah, when you get to the cost, does this cost less than paying a contractor to, you know, shovel the sidewalks or any resulting salts or anything like that? Yeah. But yeah. And that's where, again, yeah, Holland would be free because that's all steam that they're already producing anyway to generate heat. Western does that too. You know, their power plant generates a lot of steam, and that's pumped through campus to, you know, heat buildings and sidewalks, things like that. So those systems, you know, they just kind of, they make more sense. Pun intended.
Other questions for Justin?
I'll probably have a lot, but I'll do this off at another time. So I really appreciate this a lot. It's been helpful.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it can be done by a person. I don't know how much ICLEI charged you. It takes some work, but yeah, if you find the right person who likes this stuff, it's pretty fun. But yeah. I mean, you have my email, so if anything comes up or any questions or ideas, yeah, I'm happy to chat more.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
You bet. Yep, we'll see you.
Thank you.
All right. All right then, Patty, leaving it up to you to proceed through your our city updates and reports and whatnot.
Sure. As far as city energy efficiency activities, nothing to report there. And I think I'll turn it over to Bessie for the programs update, if you don't mind.
Yep, I can, hold on, I need to pull it up. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Ongoing photo contest. So the Kalamazoo River Watershed photo contest. So if you're out and about at any of the parks and near waterways in Calhoun County, snap a photo and submit at bcwater.org. We have our rain barrel and composter sale going until April 8th. Also, you can see more information on bcwater.org. We're going to try to start really pushing composting. It's a great way to reduce your footprint by a lot. March 20th, our first polystyrene styrofoam collection at DPW from 4 to 6. If you want to come help us sort some styrofoam, it's fun, just for a couple hours or an hour. Contact me and I'll get you more information. April 20th, we are looking to plant some trees. I think we're going to order around 500 or so. So we're looking for more volunteers to come help us with that. I believe that's a Saturday. Or if a different day works for you and you have maybe a small group interested, give Patty or I a shout and we'll organize something. Earth Week, following that, 22nd through the 28th, get a group together. We'll give you some trash grabbers, some vests, and some trash bags. I can give you a section of the linear path, or you can visit your own neighborhood or your own park and pick up some trash. May 8th, I know that's branching out quite far, but it's our first scrap tire event. Also, we love volunteers for that one. That's a dirty job. Or if you just want to stand and wave people into the entrance and use the clicker and count cars for us. We're always looking for anyone interested in volunteering an hour or two of their time for any of these events. And then May 22nd is our electronics collection event with Chopin again. It'll also be at DPW. We try to keep a lot of our events in the same location. It really seems to help people remember where everything's at. So I think that wraps it up, Patty.
All right, thank you. Well, I will, so we did get the greenhouse gas inventory data back just on Thursday, and Bob and Bessie sat in on that meeting. So I'm not sure, it's a lot to take in and a lot, we have to take this data and then we need to, ICLEI, the group that did the work for us, provided us a report template. And what we're in the process right now and what we need guidance from this group on is the tone of the report that we want to set. So your suggestions will provide guidance to City Hall. for how we want to approach the tone. And I'll just pull up real quickly if I can share the screen. I don't want to take a ton of time right now, but I will get all of this data to you guys. Where is it? Screen one, screen two. Oh, let's see. So can you see this graphic here?
I cannot.
You
Nope.
can, okay, let's try it again. Oh. Huh, it looks like it should be showing, but let's see. This is always the fun of these meetings, trying to figure out. Let's see.
You want me to try?
Yeah. Well, it's on my computer screen though, but do you have it up, Bessie? Let's see here. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, now can you see it?
Nope.
No.
No, still. No, I
Oh,
can't. It
Here
does.
it comes.
say-
Here it comes.
Now?
There we go.
Okay. So just to put it in context, so this is what kind of ICLEI, their goals are usually by 2020, 2030 and then 2050. And to put this in perspective, to meet our fair share reduction by 2030, we're going to have to, and they're not recommending this. So I have to be careful how I say this. They want us to, this is their template and what they provided, but they, the city of Battle Creek is going to set the tone for how we want our report to look. So just in our current sustainability plan, our 2030 goal is 10%. And ICLEI came back with 62.9%. So again, we're not committed to any of this. It's just, we need to, with the information that we were provided, we need to set our own goals and make recommendations to the city government, city hall, city manager's office on how to do this. I'm also going to switch. I will provide you some of these report tables. So this is the city of Battle Creek's, not city facilities, but we did a community wide. So this is within the city's boundary. So this is taking in all these different sectors here. And I'm going to let you take a look at this and to spend some time on it. But so they provided this, and I just want to say that the commercial energy also includes industrial energy because consumers didn't break that apart. We couldn't break that apart for us. So the industrial energy over here is only natural gas from SEMCO. Commercial energy includes industrial energy. So just keep that in mind when you look at this. And then I'll also provide you this table that gives all the breakdowns by sector. So as far as where we leave this today, I think I'm just going to email this out to all of you for you to take a look at, but we do need to start coming together, and maybe we do subcommittees, or I don't know how you want to do this, but we need to figure out how we want to use this data. So.
All right. Yeah, maybe just sending it out first and we'll look at it and brainstorm from there. So you're in the overall, or sort of the first big question is, okay, given this information, how does the city want to present this information out to the public? Hey, we did this study. It's sort of going to be the baseline for what we're going to do going forward. Here are the numbers. That'll be this kind of the report that you're talking about, right?
Right. And I will send you all the report template. So what it is a template with holes for where we need to fill in Battle Creek specific information, but we need to set the tone and how we want to approach what we now know. So.
Okay. And I was confused by the difference between industrial and commercial on that pie chart. Can you explain that again?
Yep. So it's presented as industrial energy use and commercial energy use. And the commercial energy use includes both industrial consumers data and commercial consumers data. So SEMCO was able to break it out into industrial and commercial.
Okay.
But consumers, it's all lumped together in commercial. So industrial consumers data is in the commercial category. Does that make sense?
Yep, I get it now. Does everyone else understand that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
I think right now, the best I can do is I haven't even had a really good chance to take a look at it either. So I'll send it all out. We can take a look and then, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Patty, I just want to clarify, that's just for the city boundaries too, right? Not the surrounding communities?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
City of Battle Creek, but not city facility specific.
Okay, so that includes like the airport.
Yes.
Is the higher education separate, like in our presentation from earlier, or is like Kellogg Community College? Or
No, that'll all be in commercial right now.
Okay.
So, yep.
Okay.
And then what we have that Kalamazoo had a little bit differently, we have really good solid waste data because we worked with Republic Services, which operates our landfill in the Marshall area. So our solid waste, I feel like, is really pretty strong data. So, and our airport data and transportation from transit is really good. So, and in these tables I'm going to send will tell you the source of all our data too. So.
Ryan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just had one quick. Does that company offset all the green space that the city owns? Does it offset?
No, none of that has been looked at. So.
Oh, okay.
So all the data in here is consumption of is
emissions. Yeah.
Is emissions. There's no we own 4 million trees and they suck up this percentage of it. No, all right. That's a whole nother can of worms and important one. Obviously, that's so that's a very good question. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, it was a good question.
It's one we need to. It's one of the things that we've talked about a lot here is we're talking about the plan and what this and that. And yes, we're admitting, but what's our green space? What's all of that stuff? Like that stuff matters. You know, the 500 trees that we're going to plant, that matters. Other questions about that? We're nearing the end of our time, so I want to make sure we leave time. We're going to digest that. I want to leave time for the rest of these updates and, other comments and questions we might have. All right, go ahead, Penny.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple grants out there. We applied for the National Fish and Wildlife Federation 5-Star and Urban Waters Grant. And that was for a lot of trees to go back into the area that was harvested on Jackson Street, a lot of outreach, and then some general cleanup. And then, yeah, there's a lot of outreach in that one. So we'll find out about that one in probably late summer, early fall. We have a small grant out there for a Water Systems Advisory Council grant, and that's for lead service line replacement outreach. So that one's going on. In the spring here, we're going to work with Ryan in the Conservation District to purchase 500 trees and protective tubes. So we just thought we're not going to wait on that grant. We want to get some stuff back in there in Jackson Street. So we're working with our forester to come up with species selection. But that's in the works. And then we've got Japanese knotweed treatment scheduled again for the linear path in Willard Beach, and we're showing progress on control there. And then the Kalamazoo River Naturalization Project, I think Chris would probably be Christopher Martin, more prepared to handle that discussion of where we stand there.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for allowing me time to speak about that at our last meeting. I really enjoyed that and the follow-up we had with this group. That really meant a lot. Just a quick few updates. BCU assisted the city in applying for both the Eagle and DNR grants to pursue hiring a third-party contractor to conduct a feasibility and design and pre-engineering study. We had the opportunity to also connect with a wide range of stakeholders since we last met from MDOT. We also had an opportunity to connect with the consultant in the city of Albion, which is currently in the middle. They were awarded both of those grants that the city applied for about a year ago. And so learning about their dam removal and naturalization process within that community was pretty helpful. So yeah, the city will find out if they're awarded in April and May. And then from there, if so, we'll move forward with hiring some contractors through an RFP process. So stay tuned.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
That's all I have for us, but I know planning anybody, any other group updates here. So I'm done with my spiel.
All right, then any other let's pause for public comment as well. Or do we have any public comment? Eric, is there any comment from anyone following along?
We don't currently have anyone in the waiting room.
All right, thank you. And Kathy, I meant to ask when you were asking a question there, can you just for the record identify yourself and where you're zooming? I know you mentioned to me that you're.
Of course. You guys can hear because my internet is really bad today. Kathy Antea, zooming from home in Battle Creek, Michigan.
All right, thank you. We got it. We got it. All right then. Other member comments, announcements, questions. Pretty much open floor for the next few minutes for member comments, questions. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Christopher, this is a comment for you. You were saying that since we last met, you were able to do some outreach, and you mentioned a few organizations that you did outreach for these grants. I just wondered, we're talking about that Riverway down by the old graphics packaging area. Is that where the dam up in that area? Is that correct?
Yeah, that mile segment from essentially Dickman Road culverts down Monroe Street Dam to the river convergence with the Battle Creek River. It's about a mile long.
I think as I remember in your presentation, somewhere along as you get closer to the graphic packaging, didn't that river run close to a neighborhood? There's some housing units around there, isn't there?
There used to be, yes. Yeah, it was called the Bottoms. And yeah, there was over 300 families living in those areas, which are now heavily industrial and commercialized space. So yes. Yeah.
I just wondered if in the outreach, is there any plan to talk to community members that live in and around that area to see what their views on restoration and what would be meaningful to them?
Yes, definitely. I've had an opportunity to connect with Kimberly too from the city. I want to learn more about that. And yeah, so that is the goal of working with this third party group to help lead that. If for some reason the city is not awarded those 2 grants, we will continue to do it maybe with a lower budget, looking for different grant opportunities. But our goal is to at least pursue that, to do the community outreach and engagement. So yeah, I'll definitely lean on the committee and other partners in the area when those sessions take place. I'm envisioning at least several in-person and virtual opportunities for that. But yeah, we want to make sure that the public is aware of what's going on and to be engaged to the best of our ability.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I just had one quick question. Who does the city contract the invasive species work with? Is that internal or is that?
We've been using the Berry County SISMA.
Okay, I was just yeah.
Yep.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, then. We will be receiving all the stuff from Patty. So when you have a few minutes to dig through that stuff over the next couple the next few weeks, please do. Any questions or feedback for Patty and Bessie and the team there, I'm sure they would appreciate that. And then my assumption will be that when we meet again in April, I'm sure Patty and I we'll have some conversation, internally about some of this too, and then probably wanting to be taking some kind of action at the April meeting and have some kind of recommendation from this body to the city staff and or commission about how to proceed with the data, or at least how to talk about what we're doing out in the public.
Yeah, and just one note, yeah, sooner rather than later, we have this membership with ICLEI, which is the group we've been working with. We signed up for a year membership with them, so they're there for guidance for us, but that's only through, I believe, the end of July. So soon, soon as we can, I just want to take advantage of having that access to that.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Kathy.
Knowing
you were breaking up quite a bit that time, Kathy. I didn't hear
between now and April, so that in April we move it.
All I heard was the very end of you talking about moving it in April. But you were... Yeah.
Can she type it in for us?
Yeah, I wonder, I was kind of picking up on the vibe. Maybe it was something along the lines of what's our homework or something, or we're going to address maybe this data in April. Maybe that's what I was kind of picking up.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's something to that effect. And when
move ahead with that, perhaps.
Yeah, when Patty sends something out, Kathy or whoever else that might have questions or need clarity around what we're doing, just ask, reply to Patty's email. Don't reply to all. We try to avoid reply alls when we're doing business on these committees. These committees hold themselves to the Open Meetings Act guidelines. So don't reply all. If you have questions, just reply back to whoever sent them. Or if you're really deft and you want to copy just Patty and me, or that's fine. But best practice would be to just reply to whoever the city person who sent you the email. And if they have questions, then they can get back, or they can say to everyone, "Hey, so and so had a question." It's the Open Meetings Act hoops that we want to make sure that we are jumping through to maintain transparency and accountability to the people that we serve. All right. Okay, seeing nothing else, then thank you all very much for your participation and engagement here with the city and its people and its natural environs. We will adjourn at 2:28 p.m. Thank you all.